Hey everybody, it's Dave Tack for Polygon.com. I'd like to introduce you to Iudex Gundyr, the very first boss you will fight in Dark Souls 3. I want to just give you some tips about how to fight him, and also how to fight other enemies in Dark Souls. First thing you'll notice is that you can actually start doing damage before he stands up. I would call that cheap if it weren't allowed, so might as well get in a couple of hits while you have the time. Second thing you'll notice is he has an enormous weapon. It's very sharp and on the end of a very long pole, which makes him and the area around him very dangerous, so you don't want to get up close. So the obvious answer to that is get far away, except he has this jump move, that closes the gap really quickly. So with really all enemies, but certainly with bosses in Dark Souls 3, what you want to do is play a little game of pattern recognition, and that means you only will see a few moves that any given boss or character can do. And if you are familiar with those moves, it gives you a huge upper hand in fighting them. So you have that slash that he just did right there. He's also got a thrust move that he's about to do, and then he uses these in combination with an overhead sort of thing where he pounds on the ground, and you want to obviously avoid all of those because getting hit, turns out, in Dark Souls 3 is bad. The best thing for you to do is stay away, try to figure out what he is going to do, and then close the gap between you and him when you feel it's safe, when you know he's not going to do a next move, when you know he's sort of exhausted all of his stamina that you can't see, and then you want to get in there and knock him out. One other important thing to point out is rolling is your friend, because you have a brief period of invincibility when you roll, so that can help a lot. Now what you're seeing here is a new thing in Dark Souls 3. A lot of the bosses do this, although not in exactly this way, where there is a first half and a second half of the battle, and the second half of the battle has its own patterns, just like the first one does. He still has several moves with his weapon, just like he did in the first half of the game, but now he gets to use his hand with them. Now he's got a sort of dragon head and arm here, which allows him to augment those moves. He's also got a jump that is every bit as lethal, if not more lethal, than the first one that he had. But there's also a downside to that, and that is that he is vulnerable in the back even more than he was before, which is what we're taking advantage of right now, because he's concentrating on looking sort of over there, and we can stand behind him until he figures it out and jumps on our head. Now, if you're playing a sorcerer, this is a lot easier because you can just keep your distance and fire away. We're using a pyromancer, and as you can see, when we got in trouble, we got a little distance and used our ranged weapons to take them down. As boss battles go, this is a pretty easy one, but it does teach you the fundamentals of the game.